All right, kids, let's get back to the lathe. It's been a while. I've been kind of just letting these videos set because I haven't had the time. And I've had some other projects that I just felt like I wanted to get out faster. And the weather's been crap, and well, it's cold out there in the garage bay. Anyway, we're gonna start cleaning up the headstock, gotta figure out how to get that off, get down inside of it, look at the gears, look at the shafts, see what we need to fix, replace, clean up, or whatever. I don't know what I'm doing here. Just like everything else. A 100-year-old lathe? Definitely not in my wheelhouse. So, I'm learning as I go. You're going to hear me say a lot of stupid stuff and do a lot of stupid things. That's fine. That's how we figure these things out. So yeah, let's get back to part 2 of the lathe and take the headstock apart, take out a couple of the shafts, and then, yeah, we'll go from there. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'm just going to start stripping this thing down. I know we're going to have to do something about the bushings or bearings in the shaft here. It's rattling a lot. There's no way it should be making that kind of noise. Let me fire it up and you can hear that. So we know we have that problem. Also, one of my speed adjustments here, there's a clip missing off of this little tension mechanism that catches when we slide this. That's going to have to be fixed, which means we got to take the headstock apart. So our drive doesn't engage or stay engaged. We have to take this apart, replace that bolt. I know there's an issue with this, some bearings or bushings in here. Oh, there's an issue with this speed control. We're gonna have to take the headstock apart to get to that stuff anyway. So why not just strip it down, repaint it, clean up a bunch of the gears and everything inside of the headstock. While we're at it, I don't have anything I need to cut on this. I don't need it for anything, at least not right now. So let's just do it all. I'd say we start with taking this pulley off, or this drive wheel, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I'm sure there's some super special technical term for this. I don't know what it is. We may have to loosen the motor up a little bit to get these belts off, which again is another thing that's going to have to be fixed. These belts are old, super worn, and this pulley on the drive shaft down here is wrecked, so we will probably replace that as well. All right, that's loose. You know what? I just remembered I ordered a new mic. Let's try that out. I'll be right back. So let's get these belts off just like we were doing. And I got to figure out how in the hell we're going to take this pulley off. Now another thing that has to be done before we can take the top off of the headstock here, we got to remove this lever. And this is definitely not a factory setup here. There was a pin on the side here that at some point probably went all the way through. I pulled that out, and it was broken. Also, you can see at one point it was keyed. And there may still be key in there, but I don't think so. Somebody has drilled and tapped this on the top, and there's some kind of threaded piece in there. And it might have been a little bolt at one point in time, but if there was anything there for me to get a hold of, it's all broken off now. It's not slotted. So we're going to try to use an extractor on this and maybe get that out so we can remove this lever. This is a seriously long set screw. All right, let's take this handle off now. Maybe we can turn this by hand. The thing was not in there straight at all. Well, we got that out. Let's just see if this thing will come off. Looks like it's going to come off pretty easy. Going to be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed that we didn't break this extractor off in there and have a whole nother mess on our hands. That's usually a really good time. Well, hell. I'm gonna have to take this part of the casting off to get that out. All right, let's do that. All right, easy enough. Maybe now we can pry this lever off. Easy. Hopefully that means we can take the top off of the headstock. Oh, you can see at one point this is broken. Looks like we got a brazed repair on there. Lighting in this situation is probably not going to be ideal because we've got the light outside. But hey, whatever. We'll make it work. All right, we got several of these screws that got to come out here. Hopefully we can work these out by hand. I hate using the impact on these. So we got 1. And 6. I believe that's it. There we go. Now let's try not to drop this and destroy it. All right. Really wasn't as heavy as I had expected it to be. Let's take a look at these gears in here. And they're pretty gummy and nasty, but teeth don't look terrible. It looks like, hopefully, it's a bronze or brass bushing in there. Oil hole there. Because I really don't feel like trying to pour Babbitt, because I have no idea how to do that. So I'm going to take this off, and so basically I'm going to remove these bearing housings here, see what we're dealing with under there, but I think that's a lot of our problem with this noise. There could be a bearing in here that's shot. Let's take a look at these. All right, these are 3/4 inch bolts. I got to be careful, but I'm pretty sure there's enough holding this in that it's not going to flip out immediately. I don't want the shaft to tilt out, but I think we should be good to at least take this bearing housing off. See if we can take a look down in there and see if this is Babbitt or if it's bronze, brass, I guess. I don't know. All right, so I took a few more minutes to look over this and pay a little more attention to what I was doing. I get in a rush sometimes, which is not a good idea. But there are 2 screws in the middle of these bearing housings that are securing the bearings in there, actually. So I had to take that out. We'll remove this one and the one underneath there and just take this whole shaft out. I'm glad that everyone here has 7 million dogs. It's really a great joy. That's a totally different bearing in there. I don't know what could possibly be holding that on now. Now you can't see well, but behind this gear on the shaft, there's a little collar with a set screw in it. And I'm wondering if I can loosen that and slide this pulley off. If I can get to it. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So that's loose, and I've taken these screws back out on the end. Oh, there we go. So that collar was holding it. That set screw was holding this, I think. All right. That. bearing in there, which doesn't look terrible. There's another bearing inside of here. Yeah, that thing's probably shot. I'll zoom you in on these when we get these out. So there are, tell you what, I'll just bring you down here now and show you. So we've got some set screws here. If I can get this to focus. They're pushing in on that. Which, this bearing doesn't spin. That's probably more or less just to support it. Because it doesn't, yeah, it's not threaded into the bearing housing there. Zeke has a leaf stuck on his face. Or he's carrying something. Now this bearing, we'll take that set screw out and check it out better, but I'm sure we're going to have to replace this one. On first glance, it looks a little worn, but I don't see anything crazy with it. And then this little bearing in here was actually on that shaft of the pulley. Focus. We definitely got some wear in that thing. So we'll inspect all these a little closer later. Let's get these shafts out, get them in some degreaser, because we're going to clean this whole thing down. Re-oil, re-lubricate it. We'll just keep hacking away at this, kids. Figuring it out as we go. Is there any other way? Not for me. I don't know that we're going to be able to tilt this enough to pull it out. But I think what we'll do is take this middle shaft out. And maybe we'll be able to do that. So one benefit of making these videos, I can look back and watch my disassembly process. And maybe we'll be able to get this thing back together. We'll see. All right. There's that bearing housing off. There's that one off. So that's the front on my left, or the back on my left, I guess. I don't know. The closest to the pulley in the motor. Let me get you in here and show you. There's a little bearing in the middle of these that I'm not too sure of the function of, other than maybe just to free spin and distribute the oil. I don't know. So very similar to this one, except that we've got these little bearings in the middle here. You know, from first glance, they don't look terrible. We'll get them off and look at the inside, and that'll tell the story. So let's see if we can lift this middle shaft out. And then maybe get the other shaft free. Okay, that's all it took. Little tip tap with a hammer. I know one of you guys was out there probably screaming to do that. Did you forget what channel you were watching? Did you forget who I am and what I call myself? Clean this little cart off here so I got more room to store more garbage in the way. All right, this thing's gonna be heavy. And it's gonna spin around in my hand. That wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad at all. God, and then we got to get this rat's nest. There's a literal mouse nest in here. Looks like it got a hold of some insulation somewhere and made a little home inside here. See, that one's not too bad. A little pit down in here, but that shouldn't be any kind of an issue. We got these little grooves down in here for oil reservoirs. And that's what those little holes on top of the bearing housings were for, to drip oil into. And there's our mouse nest. So far, other than being really cruddy, what I've seen of these gears is not bad. Now, some of these over here around the change gears that had a few little nicks in some of the teeth. I don't even remember which one it was now. Yeah, a couple broken teeth on that one. We'll probably see to that later. I need to go over these a little more closely, and we will as we clean this up. So far, I don't see anything that's going to be into the road problems. So I think, giving my amateur nature, what we're going to do is replace the bearings here and on the other shaft. There's probably a thrust bearing in the end there that we'll need to change and see how much that improves our noise issue. I'm going to go, or Zeke, can you go get some degreaser and some totes? All right then, forget it. I'll get him, Zeke. Don't stress yourself out, man. Okay, don't put yourself out. This thrust bearing could be the issue too. Shaft doesn't look terrible. A quick glance there. That spins pretty good. Nothing crazy with the inside there. I don't think that's going to be an issue. We'll see. Take a better look at it and decide. But what I want to do next is really try to clean this stuff up. Get some degreaser on these parts, maybe strip some paint. So we'll bring you back for that. That's it. All right, kids. That's it for part 2. So, got to order the bearings. Well, past me had to order the bearings because I shot these videos like 6 months ago. And I'm just now starting to edit these down. So in part 3, we'll take a closer look at these shafts, inspect the bearings, get new ones in, and for the most part, was able to get what we needed off of a website. I did have to cut the oil grooves, and I'll show you how I did that using the lathe, even though it's not under power. But yeah, that's it, part 2. We'll get part 3 in. I honestly haven't probably shot anything beyond part 3. I had a bunch of other stuff going on, and the weather's breaking now, so we'll get up into the garage bay again and we'll start taking the rest of this thing apart, get it cleaned up. I don't know how far I'm going to take it with this thing. I go back and forth every day, but I don't need a lathe right now. This is just about learning to use machining tools. And what better way to learn than to figure out how the whole friggin' thing works. We're going to maybe just strip this down totally piece by piece and clean it up. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, part 3, we'll get in and inspect the shafts a little closer up, replace those bearings, and then get those back in and see, did that help with the noise? We'll see.